So far, we have developed applications which did not make use of the internet. Today, we are going to develop an application which will connect to the internet, will download some data, and display it as part of the application. The application that we are going to develop today is again taken from the beginner French guide example. The application is about downloading data from flickr.com, which some of you may know is a website where people can upload the photos. So we would develop an app which will go to the photos available only under Creative Commons, that is the photos which do not have any copyright, and our app will display it. We will be using same designing principles as earlier, that is we will be using fragments and we will be also be using the recycler view. So let us get started with our application development. So the first step is to create an Android project. But before that, let me show you what I mean by flickr.com. So this is flickr.com. Some of you may already be using it to upload their photos, but if you are not, then you can know that the flickr.com has photos uploaded by different users who are across the world, and then Flickr allows you to also watch the photos. For example, you can go to explore, you can see what are the recent photos, etc. And as you can see, there are some wonderful photos on flickr.com. So we will be developing an app which can display these photos downloaded from the internet on your mobile device. So let's get started and develop our app. So the first step, as always, is to create a project. Let's close down our previous project and start a new project. So I will call it my photo gallery. This project, and this is a basic project. I press next, phone and tablet, empty activity, main activity for the time being, and let's just finish. So we have created our skeleton project, and let us first change the name of this main activity to photo gallery activity. And just like last time, we will make it activity which extends from single fragment activity. So we will be using the single fragment activity class again, and also the associated XML class. So let's go and copy those two files one more time into our new project. So we go, we find out our older project, let's say my photo gallery. In that, we go in app, we go in source, we go in main, we go in Java. So currently there is only photo gallery activity. Now I will go and copy the single fragment activity Control C, and we can just go back. Control V, and then we go to the XML and we also copy the XML. Our XML was activity fragment. Control see. Yeah, so we have copied our code from the single fragment activity. As you can see, it has now appeared here, and also in the drawable, also in the layout, we should now have two XMLs. So let's go to photo gallery activity and make it extend from single fragment activity. This is giving an error. Single fragment activity. Okay, so I will have to fix the package dot my photo gallery. This is fine. Extends single fragment activity. This is fine. I remove all this and I just do at override public fragment public fragment create fragment method and return photo. Well, let's just return null for the time being. We will fix this code later. So yeah, so now we have done the basic work. We should now move on, and we will also be using a recycler view even in this class. So let's add the dependency of recycler view. Again, I go to the project structure, I go to the app, go to dependencies, I press plus library dependency, and then I press the recycle yeah, v7, and I press OK. So yeah, so this is all fine. Now we are going to create a layout file so that we can start using the recycler view. So we go to the res, we go to the layout, right click new layout file, and we will just name it as fragment underscore photo underscore gallery. Press OK. Go to the text. We are going to remove all this and we'll just put android dot support dot v7 dot widget dot recycler view, and XML NS, that is fine, don't really need it anymore. Android width, Android height, and we also give it an ID equal to at plus ID slash fragment underscore photo underscore gallery underscore recycler underscore view. So this is our layout for the recycler view. And now we have to create a fragment class that we will be using. So, and we will call it photo gallery fragment. In the fragment class, we will extend it, extends fragment, and then we will write the code that we require. But before that, let's go back to the photo gallery activity, and instead of null, we will say photo gallery uh, fragment dot new instance. As you know that we will be using a new instance method here, and that is it. So that makes our photo gallery fragment, and we will be soon adding this method. So yeah, so now let's fill our photo gallery fragment a little bit. So as you understand that we have to do few methods. First, for recycler view, and photo recycler view, then public static photo gallery fragment new instance. This is what we need. We have already made a use for it, and this returns a new photo gallery fragment. Now you can see that the error in this will go away. So then the onCreate and onCreate view method, which we need to override. Public void onCreate bundle saved instance state super dot onCreate saved instance state. And learning from the last time where we wanted to retain the behavior when we were using a fragment, we will just directly set retain instance as true, because we saw last time that it helps when we rotate. Then let's override another method, public void, oh sorry, not void but view, because on create view returns a view. On create view, fill as usual, take 3, layout inflator, another view group where it will be attached, that is called container, and then the bundle where we may need to save something if needed. Now for the view v equal to inflator dot inflate and r dot layout dot fragment photo gallery container false. So as you can see that a lot of the code which you write actually remains same. So once you understand the concepts, then it is not very difficult to create a new Android app. r.id, this is something which we have been doing repeatedly in different programs, the more or less the same code. For recycler view dot, now we will do a set layout manager, And again we are going to make use of the grid layout manager, which takes a context, and we want a horizontal row of 3, and because we are having a recycler view, we can have as much as we want at the bottom. Grid layout view, and we doing get activity v. Let's go up. This looks all right. Should be compilable now. So we are getting an error. Let's see. So the error says construct a grid layout manager, grid layout context, comma, int is not applicable. Okay. So we have added this extra, which should have been actually here, and that's why we're getting error. And now we should at least be able to build our project. So we have done some basic work in creating our application. This is something which we have been repeatedly doing because we want to create an activity that has one fragment and which is using recycler view. So again we are choosing the grid layout manager here, and as we can see that our program is definitely compiling. So now let's start some networking basics. So as you may have done a course on networking in your undergrad, either a computer networks course or even a distributed systems course. So in the basic computer networking course, we learn about different networking things. You may have already read about HTTP, TCP, IP, UDP, etc. In this example and in general for developing mobile applications which make use of the internet, we use HTTP extensively. So if your concepts about HTTP are little weak, please try to revise them. So yes, so now we will start our networking work, and we will create first a fetcher class which will fetch data from the internet. So because we are fetching from the Flickr website, let's call our fetcher class at Flickr fetcher. Flickr fetcher. That is okay. So Flickr fetcher in the beginning will not do much, but it will just get some URL, and from that URL, it will try to get the bytes and the strings. So this is sort of a way to fetch the raw data from the URL, and then let's see what we need to do. So we start the Flickr fetcher, and first we implement the get URL bytes, which is just extracting the raw bytes. So public byte get URL bytes, string URL spec, throws IO exception, and now we write the method. So URL equal to new URL, takes the URL spec, and then we will be creating an HTTP connection. So HTTP URL connection does that. Connection equal to HTTP URL connection url dot open connection. So now we have created an HTTP connection. Actually, when you surf your internet, you also create an HTTP connection. So this is something which I am trying to do. So now inside the try block, we will try to read the stream by put a stream out, and we will also be sending something, so an output stream and an input stream. So this is similar to the regular Java programming. When you do the web programming in Java, there is not much difference here. Put a stream if connection dot get response code is not equal to http url connection dot. So we are now checking for the OK code that we should receive, and in that case we just throw the exception that we need to throw new IO exception connection dot get response message. So we would just like to display the message if the exception is thrown, and then we can do with, so that we can at least understand that what happened. URL spec, and that's it. However, if we do receive HTTP OK, then we would like to read the data. So in that case, we should get ready to read the data. Int bytes read equal to 0 byte. We read the data in the buffer, which we then keep writing to the output stream. So new byte 1024, we read 1k bytes, and then we just make sure that bytes read in dot read buffer. So as long as we have something to read, we keep writing it. So bytes read, and then once we are finished reading, we close our output stream, and then we return our output stream as a 2-byte array. And then the one final thing, that we just make sure that our connection is disconnected at the end. So finally we close, and then the second method is much easier to implement, because here we are just using the code that we have done so far. URL string URL spec throws IO exception, then return new string get URL bytes URL spec, and that's it. So our basic Flickr fetcher is now ready. So in this, basically we have taken a URL, we started an HTTP connection. So in HTTP, you must have read about the HTTP methods, which are get, put, post, and delete. So get is the method which we use to receive information, put to put something on the server, post to post something to the server, and delete to delete something on the server. So here we are only concerned with the get. So but just because the connection is there doesn't mean that we will receive anything. So we will have to do a get input stream for the same purpose. So we do a get input stream and we create an output stream as well, which we will use to write out whatever we read from the connection. So get input stream is for reading from the connection, and then we write it to the output stream, which is defined here as out. So first we check whether our connection is fine or not. So if our connection is not fine, then we throw an IO exception. But if our connection is okay, that is that we have been able to establish a connection, then we read the bytes as long as there is something to read, that is the read is inside the while, and as long as it is reading anything, we keep writing it to out, and once that is finished, then we return whatever we have read. So that's all we have done. Now, one important thing is that because we are now using the internet, we must add a special permission in our Android manifest, which will be displayed either when the user is installing or when user is running, depending on the Android version that the user has. But we must include the permission, Android permission, and I will just say the permission dot internet. So yes, so we added a new permission. We can just actually make it more concise like this. So now we are all set that we have the permission, but there is one important thing left. Number one, that when we want to download data or when we want to do any task which may take a longer amount of time, we must always do it in the background, as we studied earlier. In Android, the one way to do it is to use the async task to run the background thread. Now, because how long it takes to download, we do not know. So we must run it using the async task. So let's write some code to use the async task. So let's go to the photo gallery fragment and start writing some code to develop our code using the async task. So first, because we will be doing some logging here, so first as always is good to add a tag equal to photo gallery fragment. Yeah, and now let us create a class, private class, inner class, which fetches our items. So the task of this class to fetch our item, and this class extends from, as you may have guessed, async task, sorry, async task void void void, and the only method that we need to override is the do in background method. So protected void do in background void params. So there could be any number of parameters, and what we do is we try to use the methods of the Flickr fetcher that we have just created. So we will get a result string by calling new Flickr fetcher dot get URL string. Now here we can give any URL. For the time being, let's just give www.google.com. And what we do that whatever we receive, we just print it as a log message. So we just print it as log message fetched from, we say plus result, and then we are left with catching the exception IOE, and just another log message log.e, because this is an error message, tag failed to fetch from, failed to fetch, maybe that's sufficient, and we will just put the exception instead, and then we do nothing, so return null. And that completes our inner class, which we are doing using the async task. Now only thing that we are left is to call this inner class and execute the async task. For this we will have to go to the onCreate method, and we will have to just add a call to new fetch item task, and the way to use the async task is to call the execute method. Fine, so now our code is ready to fetch the data in the background using the async task, and let's just run it to see that whether it is really fetching the data or not, and then let's see. So what I am doing is I am using this monitor. Let me just show you. So I have switched from logcat to monitor for the time being because monitor is showing my network activity. So ideally when I run this program, I should see some activity here. Okay, so let's go and execute our program and closely watch the monitor. So we stop the previous execution, we start the new execution, and we do okay. Let's watch. Now let's go to our logcat and see if we have got any message from photo gallery fragment. So it seems we have got, so yeah, so we have got our log message which is fetched from, and it is showing what should be available at google.com. As you can see that google.com really does not have much, because we all know that google.com has only this. So, and that is apparently we are getting in our logcat. So we did receive some data. So let's execute again and try to see, maybe we will see some activity in the monitor as well. So As you see that something happened here, so it received something and then we got this whole data. So now let's try to fetch data from some other website. Maybe I will just do the website of our book. So Big Nerd Ranch, Big Nerd Ranch Guide. So one quick way to check that this is correct or not is to just type the same URL here, bignerdranch.com. Okay, so it is not Big Nerd Ranch Guide, but it is bignerdranch.com. Let's execute this. So yeah, yes, so we are seeing some activity on the monitor. Let's go to our logcat, and yeah, so seems to have got some data here as well. So yes, so Big Nerd Ranch mobile app development, training, programming guides, etc. If we go to the website, that's what we see: training, programming guide, etc. So yes, so this content, let's search for this content. Bring your idea to light. Are we getting this content there or not? Bring your idea. So let's go here and search for bring your, and as I can see that yes, bring your, so yeah, so we have seems to have got, it is becoming difficult to search here, but we seems to have got a fair amount of data coming from the Big Nut Ranch guide, and we also saw some activity on the network. So that's all fine. We can try other websites. We can, for example, try timesofindia.com, and we hopefully will get something here as well. So yeah, so we always are seeing, oh no, so with Times of India, actually we have got a, we've got an exception. Maybe this is not the right way to open timesofindia.com. Let's remove this. So we are again getting a malformed URL exception, protocol not found. To HTTP, and now the exception is gone and we have actually received data from Times of India. So yeah, as you can see that first time we got the exception because we did not specify the protocol, but now the exception is gone and yes, we received some data. So you can see that with the code that we developed, we could very easily connect to the net and we could download some data. Now we will move on, and we downloaded this data as a background task. So now we will move on and we will develop our application after downloading the content from the Flickr and show it in our application. So we completed the basics of creating an HTTP connection and using background task to download data. We will learn more on it in next lecture. Thank you.